All right. Welcome to all of you who are tuning in. So today we are in day 2 of our Global Summit 2.0, and today's session is going to be delivered by Kaylee, Lily, and Ella, and it's about Project Aquascope. There's a quick bio that I'm going to read out right now, introducing their organization to you guys. Just give me a sec. Okay. So, it seems our world is collapsing. Climate change and misinformation are serious causes of concern. Taking action on the SDGs and working our hardest to ensure their success by 2030 is an integral part of being a global citizen. Project Aquascope focuses primarily on the 5 Sustainable Developmental Goals: quality education, clean water and sanitation, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, and climate action. In this workshop, ample opportunities will be provided to learn about their initiative at Project Aquascope, how you can become a leader in taking action for the SDGs, and how to join the Project Aquascope team. There will be a portion for Q&A as well as time to talk through your ideas about how to take action. And for those of you who are planning to submit questions at any point in time, go ahead and type them in the chat box. We'll read them out later. All right, thank you. Presenters, you have the floor.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Matthew. So thank you so much for joining us today on Saturday morning, I guess, here in San Diego. We're Project Aquascope, and we're so excited to be speaking to you. So just a little outline of how this presentation is going to go. So a little bit on us, who are we, and we'll share a little bit about our journey and how our project was created. And then we'll get into our 3 pillars, which basically are the foundation of our project and our entire mission, basically. And then we'll get into our curriculum, which is basically what we do. And then we'll move into sort of an interactive portion on, taking action for the SDGs, as well as some specified advice for females in STEM, as well as, social entrepreneurs as a whole. And then we'll share a little bit about our ongoing projects and how you can get involved with us. And then finally, we'll get into Q&A. So, hi, I'm Ella Sovani. I am the president and founder of Project Aquascope. And so a couple of facts about me. I am 17 years old and I'm from San Diego, California. I'm a senior this year. And some background on my involvement with the SDGs is, at my high school, I founded a club called She Club, which stands for Sustaining Humanity Through Education. And this club focuses on SDGs, gender equality, and access to quality education. So Project Aquascope is my next project that you'll learn a lot more about today. And it focuses on climate action and sustainability, as well as access to quality education as well. My key sort of line that I always try and live by is, I believe in serving my community in a way that lifts others up. And in my free time, I love to listen to music and cook and relax with my friends and family.
Hi, my name is Lily Pfizer, and I'm here to present some facts about me. So first of all, I'm 17 years old, and like Ella, I'm a senior in high school from San Diego, California. And as for my involvement with the SDGs, Aquascope is one of my biggest commitments. But aside from Aquascope, the other projects I'm involved with are projects dedicated to delivering STEM education. And an example is Biopolis. So in Biopolis, we create curriculum to deliver STEM education and resources to underserved communities. And one of my biggest passions is to promote equality in the STEM fields by collaborating with organizations such as Young Women in Bio. And throughout, specifically in the COVID pandemic, I participated in fundraisers to raise money to provide relief for those suffering during the COVID pandemic. And so in participating in these projects and serving the community, I hope that I can help out in reducing inequalities and expanding opportunities in education, because I think those are so highly important for student achievement and for the health of our community as a whole. And so in my free time, I enjoy traveling, reading, and creating art.
Awesome, thanks, Lily.
Hi everyone, I'm Kaylee Maffong and I'm 16 years old and I'm a junior in high school in San Diego, California. And last year I recently joined Project Aquascope and I've loved being involved in it ever since. And I'm really passionate about outreach to underserved communities in Indian Church Belize, which you guys will learn about today, and through the Biopolis organization, which aims to bring science to underserved communities that Lily talked about previously. And in my free time, I like taking care of my chickens and turtles, traveling, and spending time outdoors with my family.
Thanks, you guys. So now I'm going to kind of dive right into our journey at Project Aquascope. So Aquascope was inspired by a project I had worked on, prior to the founding of Aquascope called Foldscope. And basically Foldscopes, if you hadn't seen one before, I had never seen one, actually have one right here, are $1 origami microscopes that are made out of primarily like paper, cardstock, and plastic. And so Foldscopes sought out to solve an accessibility problem in science, which I'm super passionate about. Because as you guys probably know, microscopes and other lab equipment, the costs are really hefty. So this project that I was involved with towards the beginning of my high school career, basically what we did was we took standard biology labs that we had done in our biology classes, and we basically just translated them to Spanish and sent them to a school in Panama. And some of these labs included like a DNA extraction lab, plant versus animal cell labs, flower anatomy, and water purification. So we were able to work with schools globally, most notably in Panama, and we were able to donate some lab supplies, Foldscopes, and a lab series to 2 schools in Panama. And I got to travel to the schools and teach the labs to the kids, like do the labs with the kids. And prior to going there, we actually tested the labs out with a middle school just a door down from my school, which is Canyon Crest Academy in San Diego. So a couple of key things happened when I was down in Panama that really, I believe, started Project Aquascope, planted the seed in my head. So when I went down there, when I was performing the standard biology labs with the kids, I noticed that they were super duper interested in the Foldscope itself, because it is pretty cool to like look through a piece of paper basically and be able to see up to 140 times magnification. But after that initial interest happened, it's sort of started to fade. I noticed that the kids weren't really interested in the actual biology, which is the whole point of the Foldscope. And the science teacher at the school, I feel, noticed that as well. So he pulled me and a couple other students aside and showed us a project that the school students and staff had actually started themselves. And this was a school garden. It was really cool. There's actually a picture. This is a picture from the school garden. But basically, it was a grassroots project that, sought to seek a problem, or sought to address a problem that many of the students and staff had to face in their daily lives, which was food scarcity. So I was really inspired by that, of course. And sort of after returning from Panama on that trip and reflecting over all of my experiences, I asked myself a question. Is the path that I'm on right now really going to make the difference that I want to be making? And ultimately, that was when I got real honest with myself and I said no. I wanted to inspire people to do things that the school students were already doing, and I wanted to bring my passions in like science into that. So the lesson I learned partly was to focus on the recipients of the curriculum, so what the students were actually interested in, what they actually needed to learn, rather than what we could realistically provide them. So this kind of moved into a shift of like evaluating the curriculum that we were sending to them, the standard biology curriculum, I figured, okay, if students at my own school aren't even interested in these standard biology labs, then why do I think that students in Panama would be too? So we started focusing on, you know, critical thinking in the labs to like make it more engaging and versus like memorization and things like that. So we focus on problem solving. So this was a turning point. Foldscope dissolved, and I founded Project Aquascope in its place, and I sought to create science curriculum that I felt was practical, beneficial, and engaging. Those are like the three words that I really wanted to drive home. So my first step was basically taking what I knew the students in Panama were already really passionate about and finding a way to overlap it with science. And in that, I found aquaponics, and aquaponics, I had no idea what it was. It is basically a system of aquaculture in which the waste produced by the whatever aquatic animal you're raising is, it supplies the nutrients for the plants that are grown hydroponically. And hydroponically just means that it's like with very little soil, if or none, no soil at all. And in turn, the plants actually purify the water in which the like aquatic animal swims. So I was super inspired by how sustainable this is. And I felt like that is the direction, that's the kind of thinking that we need in the future. So this new curriculum would focus on sustainability and sustainable solutions in specific. So now Lily and Kaylee will kind of get into what our three pillars are.
So our three pillars, first of all, we're going to dive into the STEM education pillar, which originated from the old project. So we've kept the STEM education pillar since the beginning of Aquascope because across the world, there's a depravity of STEM education due to lab equipment expenses and hands-on curriculum. And so, especially in under-resourced communities, there's a shortage of STEM teachers. And without this high-quality STEM education, student achievement plummets and their opportunities are limited. So our overall goal is to expand these opportunities to students and at the same time, reduce inequalities in STEM education. Because we believe that the solutions to the world's greatest problems lie in the STEM field.
Our next pillar is the environmental sustainability pillar, and this originated from realizing the need to educate not only on STEM and abstract biology concepts, but more on practical environmental issues that affect everyone across the world. Our original labs seek to get children and youth invested in the future of our environment by prompting them to think critically about human impact on the environment. And we seek to inspire youth to look at their communities and their world around them and determine how resources can be conserved and what changes can be implemented to protect the natural world around them.
Next off, we have youth empowerment. So the youth empowerment pillar originated from realizing that the best way to make a large impact is by encouraging and motivating our youth to start their own initiatives or grassroots projects. And we want to facilitate youth empowerment through global collaborations. With more people involved internationally, we can tackle the universal issues together. And an example of this is our Aquascope Ambassador program, which we are going to dive into a little more towards the later half of this presentation. But essentially, the Aquascope Ambassadors program encourages youth to start their own projects. We provide the tools and resources for them to become leaders in their own communities, and then we encourage them to implement Aquascope into their own communities where they see fit. So we're not here to tell them how to do this because every community is different. And by providing them tools and resources, they can adjust the resources to fit whatever the community needs and whatever environmental issues their communities are currently facing with. And so we've strongly emphasized collaboration and allowing these ambassadors to apply Aquascope freely in any way they see fit.
Awesome. Thanks, Lily and Kaylee. Now we're going to kind of talk about why we're all here today, which is, you know, using our passion and energy towards the SDGs. So Lily, you want to start off with SDGs 4 and 10?
Yeah, I love to. So, as I mentioned earlier, Aquascope deals with providing quality education to under-resourced communities across the world. And so, in effect, we would be reducing inequalities at the same time. And this is in line with the SDGs 4 and 10. And so, I have a little anecdote that I want to share with you guys today. So, for one Solutions for Change last year, I participated in a Solutions for Change event. And Solutions for Change is an organization that invites students from underserved communities. And every year, this organization hosts a variety of events. So my friend and I were invited to host the STEM booth. And in the STEM booth, we were doing a microscope demonstration where kids were free to examine specimen under the microscope. So last year, the hands-on aspect was strongly emphasized, and having them dive deep into the exploration and learn about science on their own and like actually get to visualize the science. And so before actually starting the demonstration, this young boy, Connor, he told us that when he wants to grow up, he wants to be a photographer, which I think is really cute. And so during the hands-on microscope demonstration, seeing the little specimen underneath the amoebas, the cells, made him so excited that he brought his mother over to the booth to show her the microscope and show her like what he was looking at. And he was explaining sort of the science behind it. And so at the very end of the demonstration, right before he left the booth, Connor told us that he changed his mind from wanting to be a photographer to being a scientist. And because of like the thrill and excitement the exposure to science gave him. And so when students have access to a variety of opportunities, they're able to explore so many different interests and in the process learn more about themselves and their passions. So this is why it's so important to provide students with a variety of opportunities for them to learn about their passions and to be inspired.
Yeah, so the next SDGs that we deal with are SDGs 12, 13, 14, and 15, which are kind of dubbed as the environmental SDGs. So the main ways in which we seek to do this is one, through our curriculum. We have labs on all of these topics here, but more so in not just educating on these topics, but actually taking action in our community. What we've done is we have Aquascope ambassadors focused on either one of these environmental SDGs or a combination of some of them. So for example, SDG 12, which is all about responsible consumption and production, we have Aquascope ambassadors specifically in Lebanon and Liberia, launching full-blown waste management initiatives in their own communities. Lebanon specifically emphasizes like the correlation between responsible consumption and production, along with SDG 13, climate action. So those are our primary ways of, addressing the SDGs on a global scale. And then speaking of a global scale, SDG number 17, which is probably one of the most crucial ones to our project, is partnerships to achieve our goals. So partly like why we're here today is to interact with people who, well, first of all, Model UN Impact has served as like a wonderful resource for us and has allowed us, our partnership with them in numerous different ways has allowed us to expand and, promote our mission and everything on a global scale. So this is just one example of how partnerships can help achieve the SDGs. Now, Kaylee, do you kind of want to talk about that last bullet there?
Yeah, so the last question we wanted to address on this slide is, why is youth empowerment and entrepreneurship so important to these SDGs? Well, one thing I like to think about always in doing work for the community and for the world is I like to think about the future and the future impact that we have. And so I think the youth right now, our generation, is going to impact so many future generations, and we can enact these changes in our world to make a difference. If we come together and work towards a common goal and keep these SDGs in mind to try to make our world a better place, then we can implement these changes.
Awesome.
Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about what we do in terms of curriculum development. And so, in order to develop curriculum, we like to think of ways to express and show the information in fun and engaging ways. And one great example of this are through infographics, because they're a visual aid that gets students super engaged with all of the little pictures and the images. And we find that the infographics, like the ones pictured below, help us break down more complicated processes into more manageable steps for students to sort of absorb that information more easily. So pictured below are infographics from our Sustainable System series teaching environmental science. So it's exploring the nitrogen cycle, the water cycle, the oxygen cycle, all those little cycles. And we like to connect these cycles to real world problems like the human impact on these cycles to make the content more relatable for students. We find that making connections and seeing how these concepts are relevant to our daily lives helps maintain student engagement and makes them really curious about learning about the world we live in, because they can see how it applies in their lives. And at the same time, the curriculum is meant to stimulate problem solving and critical thinking skills. So by presenting these issues, we encourage students to sort of come up with solutions on their own and brainstorm ideas, really get them to think like a global citizen. And in our effort to educate the citizens, we want to foster a change in behavior and the perspective of students towards the environment, because the environment concerns all of us. And as of right now, it's a major issue that needs to be addressed. And so through our curriculum and through instilling these problem solving skills, we hope to inspire future change makers. And currently, as of right now, we are working with another series based around environmental issues, and we are currently taking volunteers.
So next we're kind of gonna move into like a slightly more interactive portion of this presentation. But first, we wanted to share some things that we felt we've learned so far in like our journey as like youth social entrepreneurs. So first off, I think in like every presentation I give, I'm always sure to hit on this point, like figure out what you're passionate about. And I know that seems really simple, but it is kind of a daunting task, especially now because I know people can be like passionate about a plethora of different subjects. And that's totally understandable because our world is facing a lot right now, as kind of like mentioned in our bio part for this presentation. But I think the important part of this is bolded here, like why are you passionate about what you're passionate about? And I can't stress enough why you need to know your why. I feel like my biggest critique in this kind of, for this part about knowing your why is I feel like society a lot of the times, or like different people, whatever, can be really critical of what you think like you're passionate about. Um, like it doesn't just have to be an SDG, it can literally be whatever you are truly passionate about. Um, but I think it's really important to acknowledge that whatever you are passionate about, it is valid and valuable, and don't let someone else tell you otherwise. There's some really creative ways of culminating what your skills are and what you're passionate about into like, just promoting some sort of good in our world. So the second part of this is figuring out what your skills are. And this part I'm also very critical about because society seems to have a very like yes or no, like, black and white of what defines a skill, like what a skill can be. yeah, I feel like a lot of people are really boxed in, like, oh, unless you're good at coding or unless you're good at, like drawing or something like that, or public speaking, that you can't make an impact in this world. And I think that's totally false and, spreads the wrong message. So your skill is anything that you enjoy doing, if I'm being honest, because if you enjoy doing something, then you'll get really good at it. So that's my second piece of advice. Figure out what your skills are, and this can be anything. And then the third piece is brainstorming how you can put one and two together to promote social good in the world. And we'll practice this on the next slide. Yeah.
Yeah, next off, I really want to emphasize this. Talk to people. You never know who will help unless you take that first step to ask. So remember, there is no shortage of people who want to help passionate, motivated youth such as yourselves. Different people have so many different ideas and they can guide you along the way. They can help you flesh out your idea. And there's a really good chance that they might even join you in your efforts because you're seeing how motivated you are and might be even inspired by your initiative. So you don't have to be alone when you're developing your own project. There's always going to be a group of people who have the same interests as you and the same goals as you and are so willing to help you. And so this might seem a little bit outside of your comfort zone. So this leads me to the fifth point, taking risks and trying new things. Sometimes you just need to take a leap into the sea of uncertainty, and surely you're going to come across an opportunity and success in the long run. I have confidence that you will. And in the waves, you might come across the ups and downs of the process, but that shouldn't deter you from pursuing your passions. There's always going to be those successes and failures along the way, and embracing it will help lead you closer and closer to your goal, and it'll improve you as a person as well, while at the same time making an impact in your community.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to those points really quickly that, like, in my experience, at least, I felt that like maybe the most valuable thing above anything is talking to people. And this is like for so many reasons. And I know it's basic and intuitive, but it really does take like courage to talk to people who you don't know at all. I think one of the biggest turning points in this project for me was um, reaching out to people, like, and just putting yourself out there. For example, I think some of my biggest connections have been made through like random Facebook groups, or like randomly DMing people that I found, or doing things like that. And in regards to taking risks and trying new things, I know that's a somewhat sort of like cliche piece of advice, but I think that there is definitely some like discomfort that sometimes needs to happen. Like I've had a lot of anxiety, especially at the beginning of this project. I kind of had to realize that maybe what I had done for like a year wasn't making the impact that I wanted to make. Like, did I just waste my time? How do I move forward? Like, what do I do? I've never created curriculum before. Like, how do I do this? What am I doing? But you just kind of have to put your head down, push forward, and take those risks and invest in yourself. So I know it's a lot easier like said than done, and like for me at least, I had like extreme anxiety about it. But I think I'm really glad that I did what I did, and I think most people who have been in these like situations and positions are always glad that they continued on. So now, Kaylee, do you want to speak a little like specifically about women in STEM?
Yeah, of course. So I think there can be a lot of advice for women aspiring to pursue the STEM field. I think that applies to a lot of us here today. And the first piece of advice that I have is to know your value and to not let your circumstances or your peers or anyone around you convince you that you aren't smart enough or that you aren't worthy enough to pursue STEM. So, the second piece of advice that I would give is to accept that you're entering a male dominated field. But you don't have to let this hinder you. You don't have to see this as an obstacle, but rather you can see this as an opportunity to bring change into this field and to show people what you are capable of. You don't have to let that be something that blocks you. You can overcome that obstacle. And the last one is, as cliche as it might seem, believe in yourself and pursue your passions. It all starts with having confidence in yourself and confidence that you can pursue this field and that you can pursue these things that you're trying to do. And persevere even when times are tough. As Ella was saying, I mean, sometimes there are a lot of things that come up, like it can be nerve-wracking to start to implement things that you haven't done before, but it's all about perseverance and pushing through those barriers. And that's when we see growth in ourselves and growth in our community. And that's ultimately how we can spark growth in our world.
Yeah, and just to add on to like the part where it's believe in yourself and pursue your passions, like as Kaylee said, I know this is super cliche, but I think there's something really important to be said about believing in yourself. I think if you look at people all over the world who are in positions of power right now, you know, it's apparent that they have gotten there because they believed in themselves, no matter if they were truly the most qualified or, you know, whatever. I think it's important to kind of tell your self doubts to shut up a little bit and just move forward. Yeah. So
Yeah, and have confidence in yourself, because it starts with believing in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, then others will see that and they will want to follow you as a leader and work with you towards the common goal that you're trying to achieve.
agreed, Kaylee. Yes. So now is a little bit of an activity. We'll go through this a little quickly, but basically it's just applying what we had just discussed in this slide, like applying this advice into kind of real world scenarios. So what we did was we put together like some unconventional skills and passions that can be culminated into like a cohesive initiative or project. Sorry, my dog's walking on the hardwood floor. But yeah, so for example, this first one here is you might be like really artistic, like visually artistic and gifted in that sense. You might love drawing and painting, and you also might be a really good debater as well. And your passion could be like promoting girls' education. So just thinking about ways that you could put these kind of two unlikely skills and passions together is like, for this one, maybe you could say, oh, I'll start a group of like fellow artists who will go around and draw murals spreading awareness on girls' education. It's like creatively or artistically writing out statistics or something about how much girl education can like lift the world out of poverty or something like that. Just an example.
Yeah, and then like for another example, let's say you're really good at computer science. You have so many skills in coding, AI, developing software, anything technological. And let's say that your passion is the environment and you want to put your skills and apply them to your passions. And so an idea, somebody with this type of passion and skill set is to create an app that scans leaf. It has like a leaf scanner software. And this app could possibly detect leaves that have been eaten by pests, or perhaps even identify the species of the plant from the leaves. So there's many different ways where you can sort of combine what you're passionate about, like the environment, with your skills. And in this example, computers and technology.
The next skill set we have is interpersonal skills, dancing and singing and performing arts. And the passion would be cultural awareness and tolerance. A way that you could combine these two things is through creating a diversity concert. You could have different multicultural events and different multicultural performances and combine them to raise awareness about different cultures in your passion.
Awesome. So I think what we're going to do now is for these last two that we kind of haven't come up with ways that like a project that could culminate these two like skills and passions. We're going to give you guys like maybe 3 minutes or so to, you know, come up with a project that could combine writing and cooking and mental health, or like skateboarding and public speaking and raising awareness for racial inequality. So we'll give a couple minutes and then we'll reconvene. Feel free to like unmute or type in the chat.
Just so it doesn't get so chaotic, if you have an idea, maybe put it in the chat and then Ella can call on you.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thanks, Natasha.
Hey, Hueda, and as well, just to restate for everyone, so right now, the presenters are having like a small little activity where basically you brainstorm ideas for service projects as per the presentation slide. And if you have an idea, feel free to just drop in the chat box or and you can talk about it on the voice chat. It's very casual, so as long as you've got something, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a very thought out plan, but we'd love to hear from you.
Kind of have something for the cooking one. So
Please share.
yeah, so maybe okay, like for mental health, something that really helps people like with mental health obviously is just talking with other individuals. So maybe you could start like a monthly, group that meets, cooks together, and then over the food they discuss things that are going on in their lives, and they help each other I don't know, like get through hard times, just like a kind of like an open forum potluck cooking group.
That
So
sounds
yeah.
really so fun. Like, I don't know about you, but I would love to have that in my life. Like maybe once a month or something, just getting together with some people and like talking about your issues and eating.
Yeah, exactly. And then with the writing part, you could at the end create a cookbook with all the recipes that you made together, and then every person could write like a blurb about how that helped them get through like a tough time in their life, and how it can inspire like others to also just keep pushing and overcome their struggles.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Like it's just so unconventional, but like I feel like it would hit the spot, like I'm a comfort eater and yeah, for that one, I was thinking when I was like creating that one, something came up into my mind. There's a couple of like YouTube channels that do like really, or like even TikTok videos where they like make food really slowly and like it's very nice and aesthetically pleasing to watch and they like calm me down. And anything for, let me check the chat. Thanks for that, Zoe. So Muhammad, give people some issues and they can make a device using Arduino kits to solve the problem. And then make a device which can clean water. Yes, love all of these. Okay, so I'll give you guys one more minute and then if anything else pops into the chat, I'll read and then we'll move on. But yeah, one of my skills is public speaking. Some of my passions include education, culture awareness, and oh, that's what a coincidence. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I think we'll move on for now. Thank you everyone for putting things in the chat and sharing. But one more thing. Oh, for skateboarding and public speaking, maybe organize a competition for skateboarding and encouraging the winners to speak up about racial inequality. That's a great idea. That's kind of what I was thinking as well. Like organizing some sort of benefit where people could skateboard and people could donate to like maybe causes for racial inequality or what you said, having the winners speak up about racial inequality. I think that's a wonderful idea. Okay, so moving on, just really quickly about some things that we've done in the past. This one was like really, we partnered with Model UN Impact and it was awesome. We were basically just able to touch on some topics that we had about environmental, like sustainability, STEM, and also youth entrepreneurship all in one. And Model UN Impact came and spoke and it was awesome, as well as some other speakers from around the world. And then we also had a summer seminar series, which was 3 weeks long. And we basically just did different themes for each week, kind of focusing in on the overlap between some social issues we thought were relevant, as well as our pillars about like environmental sustainability and STEM. So those were in the past. Now let's talk a little bit about ongoing projects and how you can get involved. We have some things that are seriously really exciting, and we're looking for lots of volunteers or ambassadors, people like looking to get involved with us. So Kaylee, do you want to talk a little bit about Belize?
Yeah, so this first project that we're working on and a great opportunity for you guys to get involved is a Belize distance learning science curriculum that we've been working on. Our school contact in rural Belize, the Indian Church Village School in a small village called Indian Church, was recently hit hard by the pandemic COVID-19 this past spring. And just this past month, they were further affected by Tropical Storm Nana. And the school's principal reached out to us and requested us to design their science distance learning curriculum in full for 3 different grade levels. So this was a huge responsibility for us, and we've been super excited about it, and we've loved doing it. But it was a lot of work because this meant that we needed to produce over 66 hours worth of original, thought-provoking, critical thinking curriculum and activities for only the first unit in a little over 2 weeks. So we are looking for more volunteers so that we can continue to provide our best foot forward for the Indian Church Village School in Belize. And this would be a great way for you guys to get involved and outreach to underserved communities around the world. And these people are super kind-hearted, and the children are so appreciative of anything they can get. And we'd love for you guys to get involved and become volunteers for this cause. And we are also looking for donors in order to provide foldscopes for the students in Belize.
Yeah, so just on the next slide here, in total for Belize so far, we've provided them 2 units full of like curriculum. We've created 120 different like activities and labs, videos, all sorts of things. But we just got some student samples today, actually, and our hearts were so touched. So I thought I'd put them into the presentation for you all to see. But there was a little project on, animal cells versus plant cells here, and some of the activities that we made with like basically student work. So that's kind of our first big thing that we've got going on right now. Again, like it's a big project, but we're happy to do it. And I think the more volunteers we have, the easier it will be for us to continue to provide this education, and also the more fun it'll be because, with a greater community, anything is more fun. And also we do like provide awards for volunteers of the month. So if you're looking for that as well, we've got you. So towards the end, we'll have all our contact information. So please reach out to us if you're interested. This next collaboration I'm really excited for. It's with an organization called Rehab Africa. And Rehab Africa is a youth-led organization designed to provide Liberians an equal opportunity to thrive. So basically, going back to the advice slide, the only reason I got in contact with Rehab Africa was like, in May, I reached out to some people on a joint Facebook group that I was in, and 5 months later, now we are partnering with them to create curriculum that will, starting in 2021, impact approximately 30,000 youth in Liberia. And I'm really excited about this because basically this curriculum will be educating on environmental issues and sustainability, but also will be providing them like opportunities to concrete opportunities to further these causes in their communities through the Aquascope Ambassadors program. And we're also planning to do a virtual exchange with them once this curriculum is implemented. So this is a new project, and we are looking for more members and volunteers to help us meet this demand in conjunction with like Belize and everything. So we're really looking to expand and if any of you guys are interested, again, please reach out to us. And then another big thing that we have going right now is we're doing a youth exchange program with youth from Taiwan. And we're working with an organization called Global Education Elite. And basically they specialize in doing exchange programs, cultural exchange programs, and educational exchange programs with students from the US and like primarily East Asia. And basically this program, we are designing it, Aquascope staff is designing all of it. It's a 12-week program beginning at the end of November. And it has 3 4-week-long units. The first one is all about creativity. The second one is about leadership. And the third one is about entrepreneurship. And the school that we're working with is in Taiwan's capital, which is Taipei here. And we're expecting 10 to 20 Taiwanese students to participate. And for our third unit, entrepreneurship, we're having some of the youth entrepreneurs that we have working on Aquascope. So Aquascope ambassadors from Lebanon and India will be joining in, and we're looking to get as many, social entrepreneurs, youth social entrepreneurs from all over the world to, engage in this virtual exchange to make it like a truly global and eye-opening experience. So this engagement in this program, volunteering for this program, is a little bit less of a time commitment. It will be towards the end of February, which is when the entrepreneurship unit will be happening. And then Lily, you want to talk about our ambassador program?
Yeah, so as I mentioned a little bit earlier towards the beginning of the presentation, the overall purpose of the ambassador program is to inspire the leaders in different communities to foster change in their communities through grassroots initiatives. And Aquascope's role in this is to provide the tools and resources for our ambassadors to be able to execute whatever initiative they're going for. And so we are always looking for more ambassadors to open up more global branches. We want to get as much as the world possible as we can and expand our outreach. And currently, as of right now, we have ambassadors in Kenya, Liberia, India, and Lebanon, and we're so proud of them. They're spreading sustainable development goals in their own communities. And Ella, do you want to talk about the Lebanon ambassadors that we are working with right now?
Yeah, so we have a new branch of Aquascope that's opening up it's already started in Beirut, Lebanon, and they are doing some like great initiatives all about waste management and climate change in Lebanon. More updates on that will come soon, but basically we'll be doing virtual events while everything is still in quarantine with youth around Lebanon to focus the problems that are specific to Lebanon. Yes. So now we were hoping to get a group picture with everyone before Q&A starts, if that's possible. Please, if you're able to, turn your camera on, and then I'll just stop sharing my screen for a minute so that we can get a group picture real quick, because we're super excited to be talking to you guys. So let's see, grid view.
You guys can turn your video cameras on if you can, so we can see your beautiful faces.
Yeah, that would be great, you guys.
If
You only have to turn it on for a minute. That's it.
Yeah. There's one more. Great. Another one. Good. Keep them coming.
And then we'll get into Q&A. Okay, that's totally fine. Say cheese. Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna share my screen just again really quickly so you guys can get our contact information. But now I'd like to open up the chat to Q&A, or you can unmic as well. But this is our contact information. Please feel free to visit our website at projectaquascope.com. There's a ton of resources on there, and we go into everything a lot more in depth on the website. And then also our Instagram handle is @projectaquascope, and our email is projectaquascope@gmail.com. and we answer to everything pretty quickly. So yes, please reach out. Okay. So how can we get involved with your program? Thanks, Catherine, for asking. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. Like, first of all, please reach out to us on Instagram, I think is the best way, or also our Gmail. But basically, we have a form here. I'll link it in the chat really quickly. And this form is just a Google form, and it will allow us to, get your contact information and kind of evaluate how you'd like to be involved in our project, because it is kind of, there's a lot of, pillars, and we're have quite a few projects ongoing right now. So like, for example, if you wanted to volunteer for the Belize curriculum, then you could do that. If you wanted to participate in the virtual exchange with students from Taiwan, then you could specify that. And then what else do we have going on right now? If you were interested specifically in the curriculum for West African youth, then you could let us know and we can work with you on that. If you're interested in being an Aquascope ambassador or creating an Aquascope initiative in your community, we'll work with you on that. There's a lot of different ways in which we can collaborate. So if any of those interest you, please reach out. So how old do you have to be a volunteer? I believe the youngest age we have right now is a freshman in high school, but honestly, we'll work with you. If you're a middle schooler and you're super passionate about about our pillars, and we'll definitely work with you. We're very inclusive. And then, do you have to be well versed in STEM in order to participate? Definitely not, IMED. Sorry if I butchered your name, but you definitely do not. Our project, fun fact, it actually started in an after-school program called the Envision Conservatory for the Humanities. So we're all like really passionate about the humanities as well here. And there's a lot of ways in which this project is not, like, if you're not interested in writing curriculum, we have people on the Aquascope board who don't even touch the curriculum. They're purely for outreach, like creating Instagram posts or more of those sort of things. But there's like a truly social aspect to this project where you don't really have to know too much about STEM. You just wouldn't be creating curriculum. You would more so be like working on the different outreach aspects, things like that. So
Add on to what Ella said, our Project Aquascope is super versatile. Like, we have our youth empowerment pillar, for example, so you can go down that route as well and not necessarily have to do STEM in there, because there's a lot of, opportunity in that pillar as well to pursue any path.
yeah, thanks, Kaylee. And thank you, Mr. Newman, for your comment. So Muhammad, do you guys work on other SDGs also? So we have worked with other organizations who aren't as focused on the environmental SDGs, such as Rehab Africa, for example. They're mostly focused on like empowerment and partnerships for the goals, things like that, reducing inequalities. Yet we're still able to have like a really productive relationship in which both of our projects stay true to our values and also like help each other out. Muhammad, do you want to remind me what SDG 7 is? I forget off the top of my head. I stick to my 4, 10, 12 through 15, and 17. And so what would an ambassador actually do regarding volunteering and stuff? So the role of ambassador is really to take Aquascope. Lily and Kaylee also, sorry, I'm hogging all the questions. If anything comes off that you want to speak on, please like on mic. But the entire role of an ambassador is basically like, if you know that you're passionate about our pillars and you see a way for them to be implemented in your community, then we will meet with you as frequently as you'd like. Typically, we meet with our ambassadors about like once a week, depending on what projects are coming up for their Aquascope initiative. But for example, with our Lebanon branch, like we meet with them once a week and they kind of flesh out what they want to do in their community, and we equip them with the tools we feel would be necessary for that. For example, they wanted to do virtual events on waste management, and we are now in the process of creating like infographics and more activities that fit their demographics so that they're able to use them. So that's kind of how the partnership would work. We're basically just there to support you and help you out in any way possible, and like help inspire you to take action. And then Muhammad, okay, so it's affordable and clean energy. We have had some speakers come in to speak about affordable and clean energy. The first one is a youth, I believe he's 19, from Sierra Leone, Africa, and he created an entire initiative called Optim Energy, which is all about creating like, he actually did a full like set of research on it, but it's about making affordable and clean energy like more accessible in his home country. So we'd be able to set you up with contacts from the different youth entrepreneurs that we have like working. I'm pretty sure we know people from like all different SDGs. So we're also a great resource for that, like a network.
I'd like to also add on. So for our Belize distance learning curriculum, one of the topics is affordable and clean energy. And so we have curriculum resources as well.
Yeah, definitely. For the question, is the volunteering all virtual? How will it work, Catherine? It is all virtual for the time being right now. We have volunteers from literally Bahrain to Boston, like all over the world, creating curriculum for us for the Belize curriculum right now. So far, our lab series, sustainable solution series, or sustainable system series, sorry, and the environmental issues curriculum, those are all currently being created by like Aquascope staff, but Aquascope volunteers are creating, helping us out with the Belize curriculum, and that's all virtual. We basically have a spreadsheet where we break down the different activities that need to be made, people sign up, and then each kind of group of volunteers will have an Aquascope staff dedicated to overseeing the entire process, and they'll work with you. And yeah, today is the UN's 75th anniversary. This past Monday, I actually took over the United Nations Association of like San Diego's account to celebrate it. So if you want to check that out too.
Awesome. I'm just gonna jump on real quick here. So we're nearing the top of the hour, so we gotta kind of start wrapping things up. Are there any lasting remarks, and then we'll make some small announcements?
Yeah, I think if no one else has any questions, I think we hit all of them. I'm so sorry if we missed your question. Thank you so much for letting us talk to you guys today. I love talking to people, and I'm sure Lily and Kaylee can be the same. So yeah, thank you for giving us your time for an hour. And I really hope you guys reach out to us if you are interested in our initiative. Yeah, thank you, you guys.